that long day behind you. Good times lie ahead. With company worth keeping, that'll bash a smile on your head. Come on in, the door's open, you'll find just the finest folks here. Pull up a chair, grab a drink, and lend our stories your ear. Cause we're the talk the tavern. Here you're always welcome. The talk the tavern. Promising beer and bedlam. The talk the tavern. Music, medicine, then some. The talk the tavern. The song's over. Here we come.
And welcome to Talk of the Tavern. I am Travis, your host, and tonight, due to various things, I am having just a little bit of bourbon, just a little bit of Henry McKenna, and a heart monitor. And when you're on one of these things, apparently you shouldn't be snorting cocaine off of hookers. What about you? Yeah, right? Boob? Do you say boob? Ed, what do you got, man?
I'm having water because I'm still trying to get over something, and pineapple bits there.
I saw you doing them like little like middle school shots. It's kind of nice with those little cups because you can do it like a shot of pineapple.
How about you, Kevin?
This evening, I am drinking a bottle of Green King's Old Master Hen, a limited edition version of one of their regular beers. And for snacks, I shall be picking out a bit of Isle of Wight blue cheese and some picante peppers.
You fucking fancy. By the way, for anybody that hasn't... What's that, Kev?
I said, get me, the flash bastard.
That's right. And just so everybody knows, Kevin right here is a friend of the tavern for well over a decade at this point in time. He's been around when we went from Talk of the Tavern to Sounds of Steam and then back to Talk of the Tavern. Was a regular on the show for a long time. Matter of fact, he's been coming around for the show longer than Ed has, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I mean, he's also contributed to one of the books that I wrote. So, point is, if you haven't heard of him, you haven't been around as long as this fucker. And he's fucking inappropriate and hilarious. Sometimes. It's been a while since we talked to him. He might be fucking lame now. We don't know.
Yeah, I've got boring with old age now.
Oh, man. We're all just getting so much more spiteful with old age. And we're going to cover this in tonight's topic.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Get off my lawn.
Okay.
I've been looking forward for decades to when I was old enough to have a legitimate reason to beat people with a walking stick.
Right, right. Previous to now, we just had to do it and then leave like some old guy was there. And so, the progressive commercials, or it's not progressive. What is it with the older white guy trying to teach young people not to become their parents? You've seen these commercials.
It is insurance, isn't it?
It is insurance. Kev, have you seen these over there in the UK?
I don't know quite, so not specifically that, but yeah, there's this sort of weird preponderance towards that kind of theme, I think. Yeah.
When it first came out, it was funny because the people were doing like the annoying thing that our parents did. But now he's saying like cutting up cardboard is work and a chore and not something you should enjoy. Lawn care is not a hobby. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Because I actually get this perverse joy out of breaking down a box neatly.
It's destroying something.
Well, it's also organizing at the same time you're destroying something. You're cleaning up. You're making your environment nicer.
Yeah, kind of like shooting.
I don't know if that's the same. We'll have to contact somebody in Portland and find out.
Leave it at that.
But yeah, he has one where he's like, lawn care is not a hobby. The fuck it's not. How many people have gardening as a hobby or making your yard beautiful and presentable? I live in the country. And when I do a live stream from my front porch after mowing the lawn and I'm kicked back with a bourbon and a cigar, people are like, nice lawn, man. What, Ed?
That shit.
Which part?
Lawn care. No, screw that. That's fucking work.
Well, you hire white guys to do it for you. You're okay.
I do.
I'm not
I
fighting.
have a man.
See, by the way, since a heart problem.
And
Say again, Kev?
my habit times have changed.
Right. Now, I have a Latino neighbor. It's a fucking awesome neighbor. When I had heart problems, this fucker, his son, his like 22-year-old son bought him a $7,000 mower. It's like a 60-inch riding mower, 60-inch blade width. And he was so happy to mow my lawn for me. Now I'm on 2 acres. And he didn't ask for a cent.
I'm not so sure you can say that on Twitch.
Which part?
You have a Latino neighbor that's happy to do your lawn for you.
Yeah,
You can say that.
maybe not. But he came over and he did this. And I like mowing my lawn. It's an hour and a half on a riding mower, kick back, relaxing in the sun with a cigar, music in my ears. It's a fucking break. It's a vacation. Ed, I don't think you have that pleasure on your piece of land because it's all on a goddamn hill and you got to use a push mower.
Mm-hmm.
I bet if your land was flat and you were riding out on a riding mower, you wouldn't hate it as much. Maybe you wouldn't love it like I do, but
Maybe. I mean, when I used to live on a piece of property that had flat land, I used to push it, and my neighbors on both sides of me were like, "Hey, come over and borrow the riding lawnmower." It's like, are you kidding? It's the only fucking exercise I get.
okay. So you kind of feel where I'm coming from, except I'm not getting exercise. Till I walk around with the weed whacker and then the leaf blower also, because we get a lot of trees. I got to get the leaves off the back deck and the front porch and stuff. Okay, I feel like I went on this too long. My point is, can this insurance commercial calm their ass down?
I
Because,
do get your point. There are, I mean, I don't have a lawn to take care of, but for those people who don't know, I work in hospitality and have spent quite a few the last few years living on site in the businesses that I run. And the current one has a very big back garden, and one of my greatest pleasures every couple of weeks is jet washing my patio.
I've got to get my pressure washer out and clean the side of my house because when you live in humid Virginia, you will grow some goddamn mold on the side of your house if you don't keep up with it. And yeah,
I live in England. Everything has mold growing on the side of it.
Don't stand still too long, right?
I thought you guys called it ivy.
Oh, don't get me started. That's evil stuff.
Pros and cons on that one, isn't it? I mean, it's pretty, but it will fuck up some mortar.
Screws you very quick.
Right.
People here plant it because they think it's pretty.
Yeah. Well, they've never had it stuck to the side of a building where it's pulling the mortar out and your side of your house is buckling. So, okay. So let's look at an opening toast. Here we go. Here's a good opening toast. Here's to learning history and learning from it.
Here.
That'll tie into the topic.
Very well.
So the topic I want to talk about today is, and we've touched on it before, since about 1900, give or take a dozen years, I have noticed some very weird coincidences of history almost seeming to repeat itself. And not even through things like, oh, we didn't pay attention and we made the same mistake again. But things like, we had a huge banking crash in 1907. In 2008, we had a banking crash. 1918, we had the Spanish flu. 2019, we had COVID-19. And things like that. So I started doing some research and pulling some stuff down here. And yeah, there's a lot of shit that happened and came down. I made a big old list that I'm scanning right now because, I made this list more than a half hour ago, so I've got to review it. Because the hour before...
Wasn't it about 2 months ago?
It was. I didn't want to say that. For anybody that follows us on a regular basis, you'll notice there hasn't been a lot of content up. And,
Somebody got COVID for 3 weeks. Somebody tried to die from a heart attack. Yeah, that kind of, yeah.
Yeah, put a damper on things. And on top of that, we're all getting older and just don't want to fucking deal with people. Including the people we like sometimes. We're just like, nope, I'm going to sit over here and be grouchy. And scratch this thing right here.
Bob says World War I, then World War II.
That is not an echo 100 years apart.
Not, yeah, that was pretty much a cause and effect.
Yeah, That was literally a part 1 and part 2. I mean, they were connected.
There's definitely a case to be made that the way we handled the end of World War One pretty much guaranteed World War Two.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow. George Lucas.
The end of the conflict, the reparations and the treaties and everything that were drawn up afterwards caused the tension that led directly, almost like a straight road straight to the start of World War Two.
Yeah.
Now, what you can say is World War II, the next war that's right around the corner. Is that 100 years? No, it's still not quite 100 years, but there are some similarities there going into what we're doing today in World War II.
I would say we missed and by the way, when I was researching this, I realized history doesn't repeat itself, but history rhymes with itself. If we look at the things from 100 years ago and what we've seen in this century alone, this millennium alone, because it's fun to say that kind of shit. Let me go over some of this before we get too deep in the conversation. Then we'll flip back to this because I feel like we don't have something that mirrors World War One, and there's some things on here like, well, there was this, and I'm like, not quite the same level of, oh my God, what the fuck. So 1907, banking panic, we had speculation, weak regulation, bank failures. 2008, same exact thing. 1910, tech boom. Railroads, electricity, radio came out, all that built up. 1990s and 2000s, not exactly 100 years, but we've got another tech boom. Internet.com, smartphones. 1911, Standard Oil trust-based, so the government breaks up that monopoly. We're having the government break up all kinds of monopolies over the past 20 years. They did it to... Not enough, you don't think so? That might be a topic in itself that you would have to... I think you probably know more than I do. But we
jot that down.
Yeah. We've seen Microsoft, there's lawsuits versus Google, Amazon, Meta, Apple happening right now. I mentioned the Spanish flu and COVID. Culturally, in the 1920s, there was a lot going on. Jazz, I don't want to say born, because every music that is born doesn't actually come to light till 10 to 20 years after it was born. But we get jazz coming in, flappers, prohibition, moral panic, and also something that my research doesn't really point at. In the 1920s and 1930s, we had gay rights, women rights, and black rights coming up as political topics. But with the stock market crash and the Great Depression, it shut all that down. But here in the 2020s, we have TikTok, digital moral panic, drag bans, the whole LGBT thing, and all that happening. In the 1910s and 20s, we had an immigration backlash with literacy tests and nativism. And here we've got a border crisis in the 2000s and 2020. Nationalism, refugee debates. And let me just zip through the rest of these. Early 1900s, labor strikes with steel, coal, garment workers. We're seeing the same thing. Teachers, Amazon, Hollywood, which I don't feel like Hollywood is the same thing. And Bob, you're wrong on that. But that's a whole separate topic. 1910s, rising global tensions as we go into World War I. In 2020s, U.S.-China rivalry, Ukraine war, AI arms race. Which I don't know if that equivalates to dropping bombs, but it was in the research as a comparison. 1930s, Great Depression. 2008, we had a Great Recession and disruptions. I think we're going to see something similar to the Great Depression within the next 10 years. And I think I
absolutely agree with that. I mean, as we found with doing these shows before, sometimes our points of view are current and modern culture are different because obviously I'm 3,000 miles away from you guys,
right,
more on the other side of the Atlantic. What's happening with you guys and is in your newspapers isn't necessarily following what's happening here, but we are.
I've started following a lot of your newspapers so I can figure out what the hell's happening here.
Yeah, Kevin, hold that thought, because I also want to say I have quit reading the primary ones and going with AP News and Reuters because I'm tired of such biased reporting on both sides.
Yeah, I was going to say, certainly in this country, we're seeing unprecedented levels of borrowing by our government because they are under pressure from their voting public to keep interest rates down, to keep life affordable for the people who cast votes for the people in power, to try and keep them sweet. And in order to do so, they are borrowing more and more money on an unprecedented level. And I think the next financial crisis won't necessarily come. Previously, like 1920s, you had the first time people were allowed credit. It didn't exist prior to that. That was what caused the 1920s stock crashes, was that people were allowed to borrow for the first time ever, to take credit out against whatever, The recent stock market crash, over lending and overpricing on mortgages and on housing. And again, I'm giving a British example. I don't know if this necessarily correlates to the reasons in America.
Pretty fucking close.
But also stock market practices, short selling, inflation of the stock market, that kind of thing. I think the next financial crisis won't be because of financial issues to do with the general populace. It will be something will trigger a sudden collapse and a cascade in the amount of money that countries have borrowed and owe each other. These enormous, fictitious almost figures of money that don't exist as a pile of cash in a room somewhere, but are on a spreadsheet of you owe me this much. And I think it's got beyond the point where people should be worried about it, to the point where we should be genuinely scared about what happens when someone turns around and goes, give me it back.
Yeah.
Ed, you got something to add? Because I got some shit on this. Okay. So I'm going to refer to my research again, which I shared with both these guys. So in theory, everybody's glanced at it. How much we remember is another story. So in the 1930s, that crash happened because of market speculation, banking collapses, no social safety nets, and zero regulation. Kevin, you kind of hit on all that. So today, we have FDIC insurance, central banks are ready to print money like it's confetti, massive global safety nets, but we are primed for rolling crises like tech layoffs, housing bubbles, student loan debt, climate shocks, geopolitical wars. So we're not gonna do the massive 1930s dive off a cliff, but that domino effect that Kevin just mentioned, and the real thing that will determine if it happens or not, is if governments can't or won't stabilize things like debt default, a runaway war, climate disaster, which, by the way, the climate disaster we could go back and forth on, because from scientists I've heard things that don't match with the media from actual climate scientists, but I don't want to get into that here.
You're joking, surely. The media and actual science not agreeing with each other. Who ever heard of that?
The thing is...
Okay.
Go ahead, Ed.
Well, listen to what you just said there. And, our history rhymes. Is it history rhymes? Is it the 100 years it's going to happen again?
Weird, right?
Or is it, just as we have always said, history repeats itself because we didn't fucking learn the first time? We're making the same mistakes here 100 years later that we made 100 years ago.
Well, here's the fun fact, Ed. Can we go back 100 years previously where the United States was a country? But can we go back to 1710 to 1720 to 1730 and find repeating things? But here's why we can't. History books are not static history. They don't stay the same. We keep fucking changing them. The same way a politician spins an issue, we change our history books to fit our mood and climate.
You can go all the way back to Greek and Roman philosophy and find people who say, the famous quote is, history is written by the victor.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely.
And rewritten by the next generation.
Right.
Exactly, yeah. Someone else comes along, wins something else, and changes it to fit their narrative.
Ed, it looks like you got something to add here.
I'm 60 years old, man.
I'm not on your lawn, so move on.
Speaking of going back to 1700, 1750, the First World War, 7 Years War. That was a world war.
That's fair. That's fair. So maybe the middle of this century, like maybe World War One was the lead up, wasn't the same level of a war as World War II, and maybe in 2050, give or take 5 years, we'll see. And it feels like we're on track for that with all the shit going on right now.
We're on track. Yeah.
Kev?
Ammo.
If I can make a point here that occurred to me. So you say that you go back 100 years and you can't draw a direct parallel. I think you absolutely can. But the bit you're getting wrong there is that it's within a predetermined timeline.
Right.
I think you can go back hundreds, if not thousands of years, and you can absolutely see a regular pattern of peaks and troughs all throughout history. The difference is that some of them are longer or shorter than others, depending on geopolitical influences, economic climates. But there is absolutely a pattern of history quite literally repeating itself. It just doesn't happen on a regular cycle where you can go from 1920 back to 1820 and see that same correlation of events.
Right, but it's within a certain thing because the pattern is every boom followed by a bust. Every leap in technology is followed by monopoly and then fear tacked onto it. Every pandemic reshapes society, and then when you wait long enough, we forget it happened and how we handled it. The parallels in how the 1918 Spanish flu was handled compared to COVID, oh my fucking God. They are like a mirror image where people argued of, should you wear a face mask or not? What is the science with this?
Outbreak of influenza, you said about the 20s, the roaring 20s. Towards the end of the 20s, there was a worldwide flu epidemic for 2 or 3 years, and that saw a direct correlation to the behavior we saw during COVID, where you had anti-mask movements, anti-medication movements, groups of people who were claiming that it didn't exist. It was a plot by the government to take away your human rights by pretending that there was a disease you need to be afraid of. All of those behaviors that we saw that a lot of modern younger generations thought was the first time they ever experienced something like that. All of that stuff happened within this last century.
And here's what I'll say about
going back further.
Masks and anti-vaxxers. They're right and they're wrong. Because what protected us most is people stopped coughing on each other and they washed their goddamn hands.
Damn hands.
Now, the mask, you're still putting out particles, but it's dispersed. But because you've cleaned everything you're touching, you're getting less. So my point is, a mask is not 100% protection because there's still things in the air.
It's certainly not the masks they had us wearing anyway.
Here's the funny thing about the mask. Okay, I'm in the store shopping one day wearing my little mask, which I hated that thing because I felt like I couldn't breathe.
Right.
I'd rather put on a field protective mask any day of the week than that cloth over my face.
Oh man, you should have totally fucking worn a military issue gas mask.
I started to because I have 2 here. I started to.
Only 2? Where do I get mine? Okay.
I feel a sneeze coming on, and instinctively, I don't want to sneeze in this damn thing.
Right?
Get it all over my damn face. I raised it up. I was like, that didn't do no fucking good.
Well, also, the people that walks around with it under their nose, I'm like, what do you do? But anyhow, the point is a mask doesn't 100% protect you. It protects you from other people. It doesn't protect people from you if they're not wearing a mask. And there's no 100% protection. And as for vaccinations, people don't seem to understand. Vaccinations are a roll of the dice. And it might only be a 6-sided dice. But the flu season, when you get your flu shot, there is a dozen or more. There is. Yeah. Because they don't know what strain of flu is going to dominate that year. And the same thing is happening with COVID. As it refreshes, there are multiple, and not just like 3, but like 9 or more.
Which is the reason why you don't really fucking know, so I'd rather not put that shit in my body because you don't really fucking know what it's going to do to me. So I'll roll the dice.
Again, pros and
cons. A fucking dog for 3 weeks.
Which means you lost on that dice roll? Is that accurate? But then again, if you got the latest shot, would it have been the right one? Which is not a reason to not get one. I'm just saying critical thinking means doing your research, learning the actual facts, not the social goddamn media opinion, and making an educated decision. And this... Where's that?
This is the problem. If I could... Sorry, I know...
Oh, yeah. No, go.
No, go ahead.
There's a famous quote we've all heard. A lot of the time it gets attributed to Winston Churchill in the Second World War, which is inaccurate because he was actually quoting a Spanish philosopher.
I love this.
Version was those who learn from history are doomed to repeat it.
Right.
It was actually Santiago, the Spanish philosopher, who said that those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it.
Right.
And that's exactly what you were talking about earlier. Is it's all very well in and of the moment, 10, 20, 30 years after some major world crisis. We've learned all these lessons. We put all of these new procedures, like you were saying about banking regulations, whatever our reaction is to go, this was terrible, we must never allow this to happen again. 100 years down the line, no one remembers why we brought that shit in the first place, because no one remembers the thing that caused it.
Well,
do that.
Even more than that, Kevin, they might not remember, but it's been manipulated a half dozen times over the past 100 years to benefit certain parties. And sure, we could lump it all in with the rich or tax.
You're going to get worse now as well.
Right.
It's the big
The
problem
Rothschilds.
now. Yeah, that's a great example. Another one would be, I hesitate to bring up anything to do with politics normally, as you know, but taking the example of Britain, we had Lord Haw around the period of the Second World War.
Wait,
German
Lord who?
Haw, H-A-W-H-A-W.
Go on.
Yeah, I know. He was a German propagandist. He would broadcast on radio that could be picked up in Britain, and he spoke with a British voice, but he would spread pro-German propaganda during the period up to the Second World War. But the effectiveness of that propaganda was limited by, you had to own a radio. You had to be tuned in and listening. But you had to know that station existed. You had to have at least a passing curiosity to turn the dial to find him and listen to his broadcast. Today, Lord Haw would be everywhere in an instant because of the internet.
But
disinformation and the dissemination of it is instantaneous.
You still...
That's a big problem in society, and why I think... I'm sorry, I'm wrapping up now, but that's why I think in the future you will see us doomed to repeat history more often and more frequently.
But even now, you still have to tune in. Ed and I have specifically said we're looking for unbiased news. My wife has left social media because of all the bullshit on it, such as what you're talking about with Lord Haw, the modern equivalent. And even I, with reading the news, there's many a day where I'm like, you know what? I'm just fucking deleting it today. I'm not looking at it.
Oh, absolutely.
It's wonderful, but you are in an extreme minority.
Yeah. Because again, I believe
with that is how many people can say that they adopt the same approach as you if they are people who control your country. Many of your politicians, your leaders, your head financiers cut themselves off from media. Of course they don't. It's what guarantees their survival in their field of expertise. If you don't know what's going on in the world, you're not going to cut it as a politician if someone asks you a question about something and you didn't know it was going on. So they are constantly on media all day, every day.
And by the way, they're also on specific media. They're not on both sides. They're looking for biased information because they're trying to make it work out best for them. And Bob has made a couple comments. Bob, sorry for not reading all the comments here because a lot of this has value, but we're moving so fast it's hard to keep track of it all. But you just said we have a Lord Haw called CNN. And you know what? Any of the biased news agencies, whether it's Fox News, CNN, they're all Lord Haw in their own way.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's frustrating.
I think I said it pre-show, and I was trying to save it for, I think we're having a show that's pretty much going to address social media.
Yeah.
And I was trying to save it for that, but I said it pre-show. It's a place to post meme. That's it right now. because I'm just so done.
Right. And actually, let's wrap this up, but I want to wrap it up with a question. Are we looking at another Great Depression in the next 5 to 10 years? What do you guys think?
What I think we're looking at more than that is
more.
I'd like to do a show on the Civil War.
Now, in brief, because that's an excellent topic to do a whole show on, what do you think a modern Civil War would look like?
I don't know.
I'll tell you what,
Depends on the military.
Here's what I'll tell you. As a sci-fi writer, I will tell you the right way to do it that would guarantee the populace would win and allow that change, and then I can tell you the wrong way to do it, that the populace will lose and the government will become a dictatorship. Kev, what are you thinking? Great Depression? Civil War? In multiple countries, because I don't think it'd just be the U.S. at this point.
I think if we're talking about historically a relatively short term, right now, and this is just based off my personal feeling and what I'm picking up in the media, I think we're actually more in danger of a physical war than we are another economic collapse. Partly because war creates money.
Yep.
If we need money, there is nothing that generates money for the coffers like a war.
We have said it
War is
repeatedly.
good for business.
Yeah, and we've said that repeatedly on this show. Follow the money. If you're ever wondering why this price went up, why that person is saying that, follow the money. Follow the money. Don't tell me any war is about ethics or morality. It's about money. Somewhere, somehow. Follow the money.
Get me started.
We have. Yeah. Okay, let's wrap this up. I think if we keep on our current thing, we're going to see this again, a Great Depression sort of thing, because we are seeing a change in climate. Whatever that cause, wherever that's going, we're going to... I mean, this week alone, we saw both coasts of the United States collapse into the ocean, maybe only a couple 100 feet. You saw that stuff in North Carolina, Ed?
Absolutely. 6 houses.
Right.
One day.
And then the stuff in California, did you see that cliff collapse?
California, that's fine. But I vacation in the Outer Banks, so California, go.
And then we have stuff worldwide. So I think if we're not careful, and if we don't pull our heads out of our asses and learn to communicate, and this is not just the Western world, the Eastern world also, as Bob has pointed out multiple times in our live chat here. There's not even just two sides, folks. There's 50 different sides. And there's people who are too invested, and there's people who refuse to even fucking get involved. Across the board, I'm going to say educate yourself. Not just one side, not just two sides or three, but historically, and bring it forward. There's so much more than any of us realize, even the most educated. I guess that's it for me. Anything else before I roll the wrap-up music, guys?
My favorite line from Battlestar Galactica. It has happened before. It will happen again.
Oh, yeah. Kev, you got anything before I hit the outro music?
Keep your eyes out for any big buildings. I won't go into it at length now, but there's something called the skyscraper index, which is a really interesting scientific theory that says that the world's largest buildings are built just before major economic and societal collapses, because you have a boom period, everything gets cheaper, businesses expand, need more space, massive buildings get built, and then bang. So if someone next door to you starts building a skyscraper, move.
Yeah, there's a country in the Middle East that is building the biggest buildings in the world.
Qatar?
The Burj Khalifa?
Say again, Kevin?
Is it the Burj Khalifa? Is that what it's called?
That's the building. And for some reason, though most days I can name the country right off the top of my head, I can't grab it right now, and it's frustrating me.
Did Dubai?
That would be it, yes. And Bob adds in as a closing thought, we need Godzilla to wreak world havoc. Yep. Okay, let's do some outro. So I want to thank everybody for coming around and joining us for this talk of the tavern. What a hot topic it was. I want to remind you, you can drop mentions on social media. You'll see Talk of the Tavern under Travis I. Sivart on all the places. But you can also drop us email at talkofthetavern@gmail.com. We do record this live, so make sure you look for that. And, I don't know, what other shit do I got to talk during the outro music? You guys have a great night. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again on the next show. Fuck around and find out.